In this video, we are going to discuss about different forms of complex number. As we have already discussed in the previous video, that any point on a complex plane is associated with a complex number. Suppose this is a point on a complex plane, which is the complex number, let us say z. That is, the coordinate of this point is x, y, implies that this complex number is x plus iota y. Is it clear? This much we have already done. Now, if I join the origin to that point, then this distance is what called your modulus of z, which is mod of z. Let me denote this thing by r, where r is nothing but mod of z. And if this modulus of z is making an angle theta with the positive direction of the x-axis, then theta is called argument of z. This much we all know. This much we have already covered in our previous video. Now suppose if I draw a perpendicular from this point on the x-axis, then this length is x and this length is y. So when any complex number is represented by the point x, y, we call this form as Cartesian form. This is the first form of representing any complex number, which is called Cartesian form. Now, you see, I have drawn the perpendicular, so this length is x, this is y. Now, can I say that x is nothing but r cos theta and y is r sin theta? Yes or no? So, the complex number z equals to x plus iota y can be replaced by r cos theta plus iota r sin theta. Now, if I take r common, it will be cos theta plus iota sin theta. Tell me yes or no? Yes or no? Now, this is a form which is called, this form is what called your polar form. Sometimes it is called modulus amplitude form. Why it is called in this name? Because this is the form where the modulus of the complex number as well as its amplitude or argument is involved. That is why this form is what called your modulus amplitude form. But in this form, you should remember two things. One is r is nothing but mod of z, and here theta is argument of z. Be careful. And we all know that whenever we are talking about the argument, we are always talking about its principal value. That is, your theta lies between minus pi and pi. Always remember this. Is it clear? So we have learned so far two forms of representing any complex number. One is called your Cartesian form. As we all know that any point on the complex plane can be represented by x, y, which is associated with the complex number x plus iota y. This we all know. And the second form that we have learned right now is what called your polar form. Polar form is nothing but z equals to r cos theta plus iota sin theta, where r is the modulus of z and theta is the principal value of the argument of that complex number. Is it clear so far? Now sometimes this cos theta plus iota sin theta, cos theta plus iota sin theta can also be written as cis theta. How we are getting this? Cis is actually, C is taken from the cos, I is this iota, and S is, we are taking S from the sine. So it is cos theta plus iota sin theta can be represented as cis theta also. So we will write that complex number z is nothing but r cis theta. So you people have to understand that cis theta is nothing but cos theta plus iota sin theta. Is it clear? Now let me take an example on polar form. Look at very carefully. Suppose I have taken one complex number like -2 cos 5 pi by 4 plus iota sine 5 pi by 4. This is the question. Now, if I ask you what is the modulus of z and what is its argument, what student used to do a major mistake is that they used to say that mod of z is nothing but mod of -2, that is 2, and they used to write that argument of z is 5 pi by 4 because this is the form which is your r cos theta plus iota sine theta form. So they will simply compare and they will say that modulus of z cannot be negative, so they are taking the positive value of -2 and saying the modulus is 2. That's okay. And argument of z is 5 pi by 4. But they forget that this argument is the argument we are talking about, the principal value. This is not your least positive argument, so that you can say it is 5 pi by 4. Observe carefully, 5 pi by 4 is not falling in the principal value range. So this answer will be wrong. Is it clear? Now you have to find out the correct way of doing the sum. First you have to find that 5 pi by 4, this argument, this angle, you have to bring it within the range minus pi to pi. Actually 5 pi by 4 can be written as cos of pi plus pi by 4 plus iota sine pi plus pi by 4. So, -2 cos 180 plus theta is minus cos theta plus iota sine. It is falling in the third quadrant, therefore sine of pi plus theta is minus sine theta. So this one will be minus sine pi by 4. Is it clear to all of you? Now, first thing, whenever you are converting any complex number in its modulus amplitude form, first thing that you have to see, you have to make this modulus positive. That is, there should not be any negative sign outside. Okay? So first of all, you take this minus inside. So what you are getting? Is it clear? Now it has converted properly in polar form, where the modulus of z will be 2 and amplitude of z or argument of z, whichever you say, argument of z will be pi by 4. Is it clear? Now you see pi by 4 falls very much within the principal range. Therefore, the modulus of this complex number will be 2 and argument of the complex number will be pi by 4 for this form. Is it clear? Let me take another example to clarify this form more clearly, because this form is very, very important. See this problem. Now from this form, we have to say that what is modulus of z and what is the principal value of the argument of z. Okay? So first I told you that there should not be any minus sign outside. So we have to first take that minus inside. Is it clear? Inside the bracket. Now you observe, minus cos pi by 4, this is a value, this is a negative value. Minus sine pi by 4, again this is a negative value. So, the coordinate, the abscissa is negative, the ordinate is negative. In the form x plus iota y, your x and y is the coordinate of that point on a complex plane. Now x is negative and y is negative. It means what? The point is falling in the third quadrant. Yes or no? It is falling in the third quadrant. So we have to find out its principal value in the third quadrant. How we find out that? We know the principal argument in the third quadrant is calculated in this way. Cos minus pi plus alpha. Can you remember it? Plus iota sine minus pi plus alpha. Yes or no? Since the point is in the third quadrant, hence we must calculate its respective argument in the third quadrant. And in third quadrant we know that argument of any z is minus pi plus alpha. That's exactly what I have done here. Therefore, z can be written as 2 cos minus 3 pi by 4 plus iota sine minus 3 pi by 4. Is it clear? Therefore, the modulus of z will be 2 and argument of z will be minus 3 pi by 4. Is it okay with you people? Is it okay? Now suppose if z is the same question. Suppose this is cos pi by 4 minus iota sine pi by 4. Let us say for an example. So now we have to find out the modulus and argument of this complex number. So first of all, I have to remove this minus sign. So I am taking it inside the bracket. So it is minus cos pi by 4 plus iota sine pi by 4. Is it clear? Now you see the abscissa is coming to negative and the ordinate is coming to positive. That is, in your x and y, x is negative and y is positive. Where does this point falls? It is falling in the second quadrant. Yes or no? It is falling in the second quadrant. In second quadrant, we know that argument is nothing but cos pi minus alpha. Here alpha will be treated as pi by 4 plus iota sine pi minus pi by 4. Yes or no? Yes or no? So what you are getting, it is basically coming to 2 cos 3 pi by 4 plus iota sine 3 pi by 4. Therefore, modulus of z is 2 again. But argument of this complex number z, again I am telling you, we are talking about the principal value of the argument, which is nothing but your 3 pi by 4. Is it clear? So now I hope you have understood how to use the polar form to find its modulus and argument. Argument means, hello, argument means principal value of the argument. So we have discussed so far 2 forms of representing complex number. Now we will go for the third form, which is called your Euler's form. What is Euler's form? Cos theta plus iota sine theta, which is your cis theta also. Cis theta is nothing but what Euler has suggested, and it has a proof. Okay, so don't think that I am taking it from the sky. Cos theta plus iota sine theta is e to the power iota theta. Again, I am telling you it has a proof. If you want me to prove this, please comment me. I will definitely make a separate video of proving this part. Okay, this part as well as the other part that I am going to teach you right now. So cos theta plus iota sine theta can be represented by e to the power iota theta. Therefore, any complex number z, which is in the polar form like r cos theta plus iota sine theta, can be written as r e to the power iota theta. And this form of representing any complex number, which is called your Euler's form. Is it clear? Absolutely. Now let us do some problems based on this. See this question. It has been said to evaluate this expression cos pi by 10 plus iota sine pi by 10 into cos 2 pi by 10 plus iota sine 2 pi by 10, cos 3 pi by 10 plus iota sine 3 pi by 10, and cos 4 pi by 10 plus iota sine 4 pi by 10. This cos pi by 10 plus iota sine pi by 10 can be written as e to the power I pi by 10 according to the Euler's form. From Euler's form we know that cos theta plus iota sine theta is e to the power iota theta. So exactly that I have written. For this one also we will write e to the power iota 2 pi by 10. For this one it is e to the power iota 3 pi by 10. And for this one it is e to the power iota 4 pi by 10. Correct? So this can be written as e to the power iota. I'm just adding the exponents. So we are getting what? E to the power iota 10 pi by 10, which is nothing but e to the power iota pi. Now e to the power iota pi can be written as, because e to the power iota theta is cos theta plus iota sine theta. So e to the power iota pi can be written as cos pi plus iota sine pi, right? Cos pi is -1, sine pi is 0. So answer is -1. Final answer is -1. Have you understood the problem? Okay. Now let us discuss about a new theorem called de Moivre's theorem. Again, I will simply write down the formula, what de Moivre's theorem states. Its proof part can be seen from any standard textbook. If you cannot understand from there, please comment me. I will definitely make a separate video of all the proofs that we are doing in this lecture. De Moivre's theorem states that cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power n, where n belongs to an integer. If n belongs to an integer, whether it is positive or negative doesn't matter, but if it is an integer, then cos theta plus iota sin theta can be written as cos n theta plus iota sin n theta. Very, very important formula. Okay. So cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power n can be written as cos n theta plus iota sin n theta when n belongs to any integer. Now, cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power p by q. P by q is basically a fraction. Like here p and q both belongs to an integer and q is not equals to 0. Okay. If it is so, then cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power p by q from de Moivre's theorem can be written as cos 2k pi plus p theta by q plus iota sin 2k pi plus p theta by q. Please remember this, where k can take the value 0, 1, 2 till q minus 1. Why it is so? Because if I take k as q, you will get exactly the same value what we got by taking k equals to 0. So the values will be repeated, therefore k has to stop at q minus 1. Please remember this thing as a formula. Okay. So whenever the power is p by q, where p and q are integers and q is not equals to 0, then we write cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power p by q as cos 2k pi plus p theta by q plus iota sin 2k pi plus p theta by q, where k can take the value 0, 1, 2, 3 till q minus 1. I have explained why I am not taking the value of k more than q minus 1, because the values will be repeated. Is it clear? Now let us go for some application of de Moivre's theorem. We know that cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power n from the de Moivre's theorem, it is cos n theta plus iota sin n theta. So cos n theta plus iota sin n theta, which is your cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power n, if I expand this binomially, so we are going to have NC3 cos to the power n minus 3 theta iota sin theta whole cube plus NC4 cos to the power n minus 4 theta iota sin theta whole to the power 4, and this thing goes on. Okay. Now, if I simplify the exponents of iota, we are going to have NC1 cos to the power n minus 1 theta iota sin theta. This one will give you iota square sin square theta. Iota square is minus 1, so it will be minus NC2 cos to the power n minus 2 theta sin square theta. For this one it will be iota cube. Iota cube can be written as iota square into iota. Iota square is minus 1, So this one will give you minus NC3 cos to the power n minus 3 theta iota sine cube theta. Tell me yes or no. For this one, it will be iota to the power 4. Iota to the power 4 is 1. So it will be NC4 cos to the power n minus 4 theta sine to the power 4 theta, and this thing goes on. Is it clear? Now let me separate the real and the imaginary part of the complex numbers. So we are having the real part as cos to the power n theta, this one, that is minus NC2 cos to the power n minus 2 theta sine square theta. Then we are going to have the real part, this one, as NC4 cos to the power n minus 4 theta sine to the power 4 theta, and this thing goes on, plus iota NC1 cos to the power n minus 1 theta sine theta minus NC3 cos to the power n minus 3 theta sine cube theta, and this thing goes on. Okay. Now if I compare the real and imaginary part, we are going to have cos n theta as cos to the power n theta minus NC2 and this thing goes on, and sine n theta will be and this thing goes on. So if we can remember these two formulae, it will be easier for us not only in algebra but also in calculus. How to remember? We always remember that cos n theta is always the sum of the odd terms of the expansion cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power n, and sine n theta is the sum of all the even terms of the expansion cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power n. Is it clear to us? Now see how this formula actually works. We know that cos 3 theta is basically 4 cos cube theta minus 3 cos theta. This is the formula, right? Now let us see how this formula can be derived from this formula directly. In place of n, I am writing 3, so it is cos 3 theta. In the right hand side, we are having cos cube theta minus 3c2 cos to the power 1 theta, that is cos theta, and sine square theta. That's it. No more terms will be added here. So if I simplify, 3c2 is nothing but 3c1, which is equals to 3. So this is 3 cos theta. Sine square theta can be written as 1 minus cos square theta. So if I multiply, we are going to have, see, we got the formula. Tell me yes or no. Absolutely. So any multiple angle of sine and cos can be found from these two formula itself. We can also try sine 3 theta. We know sine 3 theta. What is the formula of sine 3 theta? It is basically 3 sine theta minus 4 sine cube theta. Let us see whether it comes from this formula or not. So in place of n, I will replace it by 3. So it will be 3c1 cos square theta sine theta minus 3c3 cos to the power 0 theta sine cube theta. No more terms will be there. So 3c1 is nothing but 3. Cos square theta can be written as 1 minus sine square theta. Sine theta is there. 3c3 is 1. So it is only sine cube theta, right? If I multiply, it will be 3 sine theta minus 3 sine cube theta minus sine cube theta. That gives us 3 sine theta minus 4 sine cube theta. Are we getting it? So we can find out any multiple angle of sine and cos by using this two formula. Always remember, to find out cos n theta, it is always the sum of the odd terms of the expansion cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power n. and sine n theta is always the sum of the even terms of the expansion cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power n. That's it. Okay. Let me just do a problem based on this. Suppose we have been given to expand cos 6 theta in terms of powers of cos theta. So cos 6 theta can be written as cos to the power 6 theta. Again, I'm telling you what is cos 6 theta. I will just sum the odd terms of the expansion cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power 6. So it will be cos to the power 6 theta minus 62 cos to the power 4 theta sine square theta plus 64 cos square theta sine to the power 4 theta, and then 66 sine to the power 6 theta. Is it clear? Now, cos to the power 6 theta minus, what is 62? 6 into 5 divided by 2 into 1. Cos to the power 4 theta, let me write sine square theta as 1 minus cos square theta. Again, 6c4 is same as your 6c2 because we know that NCR is NCN minus R also. So 6c4 is nothing but 6c2 again. 6c2 means it will be 6 into 5 by 2 into 1. Cos square theta, sine to the power 4 theta can be written as 1 minus cos square theta whole square. 66 is 1 minus sine to the power 6 theta can be written as sine square theta whole cube. That is 1 minus cos square theta whole cube, because we have to find out the expansion cos 6 theta in terms of powers of cos theta. That is why I am converting everything in terms of cos. So this will give you cos to the power 6 theta minus 15 cos to the power 4 theta 1 minus cos square theta plus 15 cos square theta 1 minus 2 cos square theta plus cos to the power 4 theta minus 1 minus 3 cos square theta plus 3 cos to the power 4 theta minus cos to the power 6 theta. I'm just expanding this with the help of the formula a minus b whole cube. That's exactly what I have done. Now if I open the brackets, now if we simplify, what we are going to have, is it clear? This is how we expand cos 6 theta in terms of powers of cos theta with the help of the formula that we got. Is it clear? Now let us do another application of De Moivre's theorem. Now we have seen with the help of De Moivre's theorem how we can expand cos n theta and sin n theta. Now we will see with the help of the same theorem how to expand cos to the power n theta and sin to the power n theta. Okay. Let us say z is cos theta plus iota sin theta. Therefore, z to the power n is cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power n. From De Moivre's theorem, it's cos n theta plus iota to the power, iota sin n theta. Now, what is z to the power minus 1? It is cos theta plus iota sin theta whole to the power minus 1. So that gives us cos theta minus iota sin theta, again from De Moivre's theorem. Similarly, z to the power minus n can be written as cos n theta minus iota sin n theta. Is it clear? Now, if I add these two, that is z plus 1 by z, that will give us 2 cos theta, and z to the power n plus 1 by z to the power n will give us 2 cos n theta. Similarly, z minus 1 by z will give us 2 iota sin theta, and z to the power n minus 1 by z to the power n will give us 2 iota sine n theta. Is it okay? Now, just keep those 4 derivation in hand so that we can use it later on. Now we have 2 cos theta is z plus 1 by z. So 2 to the power n cos n theta will be z plus 1 by z whole to the power n. Now if I expand z plus 1 by z whole to the power n binomially, we are getting Is it clear? Now, if I combine this one and this one, we are getting if I take this one and this one, we are having NC1 is same as NCN minus 1. Now if we combine this one and this one, we are having NC2 is same as NCN minus 2. And this thing goes on. Is it clear? So 2 to the power n cos to the power n theta can be written in this way. So now from this formula, that is z to the power n plus 1 by z to the power n is 2 cos n theta. We can write this thing as and so on. Is it clear to all of us? Now similarly, we can find out what is 2 to the power n sine to the power n theta with the help of z minus 1 by z is 2 iota sine theta, and z to the power n minus 1 by z to the power n is 2 iota sine n theta. We can do it and we can find out exactly the same thing. I'm not doing it. This you can do it by yourself. Okay. Now I will apply this formula to find out some exponents of sine theta and cos theta taken together. Okay, let us move for the sum. See this problem. It has been said that prove that sine to the power 4 theta cos to the power 5 theta is 1 by 256 cos 9 theta plus cos 7 theta minus 4 cos 5 theta minus 4 cos 3 theta plus 6 cos theta. Okay. Before starting the sum, let me write down that 4 derivation that we got. Z plus 1 by z is 2 cos theta. Z minus 1 by z is 2 iota sine theta. Z to the power n plus 1 by z to the power n is 2 to the power n, 2 cos n theta. Z to the power n minus 1 by z to the power n is 2 iota sine n theta, right? Now, we have to find out sine to the power 4 theta into cos to the power 5 theta. Okay? Let me write it like this. 2 iota sine theta whole to the power 4 into 2 cos theta whole to the power 5. So in the numerator we have written 2 to the power 9 iota to the power 4. So I have to divide by same thing. 2 to the power 9 iota to the power 4 is 1. So no need to write it in the denominator. Is it clear? Now this can be written as 2 iota sine theta. 2 iota sine theta can be replaced by z minus 1 by z whole to the power 4. And 2 cos theta can be replaced by z plus 1 by z whole to the power 5. Tell me yes or no. So we are having 2 to the power 9. This can be written as z square minus 1 by z square whole to the power 4 into z plus 1 by z, correct? Now, if I open this binomially, we are having is it clear? And z plus 1 by z is there. Now, if I multiply, we are going to have, I'm simply multiplying. Now, if we combine, is it okay? Now you see, z to the power 9 plus 1 by z to the power 9 can be written as 2 cos 9 theta from this formula, from this derivation, okay, plus 2 cos 7 theta from this one, minus 4 into 2 cos 5 theta minus 4 2 cos 3 theta, and from this 2 cos theta. Is it clear or not? Absolutely. Now, if I take a 2 common, so it's 2 to the power 8 cos 9 theta plus cos 7 theta minus cos 5 theta minus 4 cos 3 theta plus 6 cos theta. Is it clear? 1 by 2 to the power 8 is 1 by 256, and this part is there. Is it clear? So proved. So this is how we use the expansion of cos to the power n theta and sin to the power n theta by using de Moivre's theorem. Is it clear to all of us? Okay. So this question, simplify 1 plus sin pi by 8 plus iota cos pi by 8 whole divided by 1 plus sin pi by 8 minus iota cos pi by 8 whole to the power 8. Here we will apply the de Moivre's theorem to solve this problem. Okay, first let us simplify. We know that 1 plus sin theta can be written as so 1 plus sin theta can be written as cos theta by 2 plus sin theta by 2 whole square. Is it clear? And cos theta can be written as cos square theta by 2 minus sin square theta by 2. These are all submultiple angle formulae. Okay. Therefore, 1 plus sin pi by 8 can be written as cos pi by 16 plus sin pi by 16 whole square, and cos pi by 8 can be written as cos square pi by 16 minus sin square pi by 16. Correct? Now for the numerator, if I put the value of 1 plus sin pi by 8, we are going to have and in the denominator, in place of 1 plus sin pi by 8, we are putting the same value as well as for cos pi by 8. So we are having whole to the power 8. Okay. Now if I take cos pi by 16 plus sin pi by 16 common from the numerator and denominator, because here it is a square minus b square, so we can apply the formula of a plus b into a minus b. From there we will get the we will get cos pi by 16 plus sin pi by 16 common, and which will get cancelled from numerator and denominator. Then we will left with 1 cos pi by 16 plus sin pi by 16 will be left from the first part, plus iota. We will be left with cos pi by 16 minus sin pi by 16. Is it clear or not? Same thing with the denominator. And the power is 8. Okay. Now if I open the bracket, we are going to have is it okay? Now let me divide both numerator and denominator by 1 plus iota. So we are having is it okay? Now 1 minus iota by 1 plus iota, let me simplify with multiplying with the conjugate of the denominator. So in the numerator we are having 1 minus iota whole square, and in the denominator we are getting 1 minus iota square. So if I open the bracket of the numerator, we are going to have 1 minus 2 iota plus iota square divided by iota square is minus 1, so this will give you 2. So minus 2 iota by 2, that gives us only minus iota. Is it clear or not? Because iota square is minus 1, this and this will go off. So minus 2 iota by 2, that gives us minus iota, right? So let me replace it. Now let me multiply iota with numerator and denominator. So we are having whole to the power 8, which can be written as, this iota will come outside the bracket with iota to the power 8, and inside we are having iota square is minus 1. Is it okay? Iota to the power 8 can be written as iota square whole to the power 4, which is minus 1 whole 4, that gives us 1. Now if we apply De Moivre's theorem for numerator and denominator, we are going to have because cos pi by 16 minus iota sin pi by 16 whole to the power 8 gives us cos 8 into pi by 16 minus iota sin 8 pi by 16. That gives us cos pi by 2 minus iota sin pi by 2. Now cos pi by 2 is 0 and sin pi by 2 is 1. Let me simply put the values. So in the numerator we are going to have minus iota, and in the denominator we are going to have iota, and it will get cancelled and the answer will be minus 1. Is it clear? Is the conception of De Moivre's theorem is clear to all of you? Now you have understood how to apply De Moivre's theorem? Okay. Now I will give you two very important formula without proof, and these two formulae are very, very important to simplify a lot of sum. This is sine and cosine series. This we have to remember. Very important. This is the sine series. Sine alpha plus beta plus sine alpha plus 2 beta. This goes on. plus sine, the last term, the nth term will be sine alpha plus n minus 1 beta. Okay. The same thing we will do with cos 1. This is the cos series. Okay. These two summation we have to remember. The first one is sine n beta by 2 divided by sine beta by 2. This is same for your cos also. Sine n beta by 2 divided by sine beta by 2. And then, since it's a series of sine, you will write sine the first angle plus the last angle divided by 2. This is the way how we remember the formula. First angle plus the last angle divided by 2. Is it clear? And since this series is in cos, we will write the same thing but with cos. First angle plus the last angle divided by 2. Is it clear? So always remember for sine and cosine series, sine n beta by 2 by sine beta by 2 is common for both these cases. For the sine series, we will write sine of the first angle plus the last angle divided by 2. And for cos series, we will write cos of the first angle plus last angle divided by 2. Is it clear? Now let us take an example in which we will use this formula. Okay? See this problem. Let z equals to cos theta plus iota sine theta. Then the value of sigma m starts from 1 to 15. Imaginary part of z to the power 2m minus 1 at theta equals to 2 degree is 4 options are given. 1 by sine 2 degree, 1 by 3 sine 2 degree, 1 by 2 sine 2 degree or 1 by 4 sine 2 degree. Is it clear? It actually came in IIT Advanced 2009 paper 1. Now see how simple it is. First thing is that what is imaginary part of z to the power 2m minus 1? That you have to find out first. This is the imaginary part of cos theta plus iota sine theta whole to the power 2m minus 1, right? Now by applying the de Moivre's theorem, we can get Is it clear or not? Therefore, the imaginary part is nothing but sine 2m minus 1 theta. Okay. Now, sigma m from 1 to 15, sine 2m minus 1 theta is basically what? If I put the values of m 1 by 1 till 15, so we are getting Is it clear? Now, how many number of terms are there? There are 15 terms. Now, I will apply our sine series formula. In this case, we will write sine n beta by 2. N here is 15. There are 15 terms. Okay. Let me write it here. N is 15. What is beta? Can you tell me? Your alpha here is theta. And what is beta? For the second thing, if you see, you will find that sine 3 theta can be written as, let me write it. This is the first problem, though. Let me write it. So it is theta 2 theta. Okay. The third one can be written as sine theta 2 into 2 theta. Right? And this thing goes on. So sine theta plus n minus 1, that is 14 theta 2 into 14 theta. Have you understood it? So now you can understand that your beta is nothing but 2 theta. So now if I apply the formula, we are getting sine n beta by 2. That is n beta by 2 divided by sine beta by 2. Sine the first angle plus the last angle divided by 2. So what we are having? Sine 15 theta divided by sine theta into sine 15 theta. Yes or no? Yes or no? So what we are getting? Sine square 15 theta divided by sine theta. They have given that theta is 2 degree. Therefore, it is sine square 30 degrees divided by sine 2 degree. Sine 30 degree is half, so it gives us 1 by 4 sine 2 degree. That's it. Hence, option D is correct. Have you understood the problem? It is simply the application of the sine series. If you can apply sine series, this sum can be done in few seconds. Have you understood it? Okay. Let us start with logarithm of a complex number. We know from the Euler's form that any complex number z can be written as r e to the power iota theta, where r is the modulus of z and theta is argument of the complex number z, and here theta is the principal value of the argument. Okay? Now let me take log on both sides to the base e we are getting. So this can be written as this iota theta will come down, so it will become log r plus iota theta log e base e. Log e base e is 1, so we are getting log r to the base e plus iota theta. Therefore, logarithm of any complex number to the base e is log of modulus of z plus iota argument of z. This argument is again the principal argument. Is it clear now? Now let us consider iota to the power iota. What is the value of iota to the power iota? Let me take this thing as my z. Now if I take log on both sides to the base e, we are getting log z base e equals to log base e iota to the power iota. This iota will come down, so it will become iota log iota to the base e. Now log iota to the base e can be written as log base e mod of iota plus iota argument of iota. Yes or no? Now you see, modulus of iota is 1. So this is log 1 to the base e plus iota argument of iota. Iota is basically the point 0, 1 which is on the positive direction of the y-axis. Therefore, its argument is pi by 2 in the principal value range. So log 1 is 0. So we are having log iota to the base e is nothing but, I am writing it here, pi by 2, because pi by 2 is the argument of iota. So it is coming to iota pi by 2 because log 1 is 0. Is it clear? Therefore, log iota to the base e can be replaced by iota pi by 2, which is nothing but minus pi by 2, as iota square is minus 1. Therefore, your z is coming to e to the power minus pi by 2. Thus, iota is an imaginary number, but iota to the power iota is e to the power minus pi by 2, which is purely a real number. I will suggest all the students to remember this value. Iota to the power iota is a real number and its value is equals to e to the power minus pi by 2. Because this will be needed many times when we solve problems on logarithm. Is it clear? See this question. find the real part of iota to the power iota to the power iota. Let us say this is z. And if I take log on both sides to the base e, we are getting so this iota to the power iota will come down, so it will become is it clear? Just now we have done that log of iota is nothing but iota pi by 2. So this thing will become is it clear? Now we know that the value of iota to the power iota is e to the power minus pi by 2 into iota pi by 2. Is it clear or not? Let us consider a as e to the power minus pi by 2. Therefore, our log z becomes iota a pi by 2. Am I correct? Which can also be written as e to the power iota a pi by 2, which is from the Euler's form. It is a pi by 2 plus iota sine a pi by 2. Is it clear? Therefore, the real part of iota to the power iota is nothing but cos a pi by 2. Now let me replace the value of a, so we are getting cos e to the power minus pi by 2 into pi by 2. Is it clear or not? Thus the real part of iota to the power iota is cos e to the power minus pi by 2 into pi by 2. Is it clear? Now you see how the problem becomes very simple as we know the value of iota to the power iota. Otherwise, we will have to calculate that iota to the power iota is e to the power minus pi by 2. If you remember it, there is no need to calculate it again, and we can directly replace that value and we can solve the problem easily. Is it clear to us? Let us take another example. Say this problem. If iota to the power iota till infinity is a plus iota b, then prove that number 1 10 pi a by 2 is b by a, and number 2 a square plus b square is e to the power minus pi b. Okay. Now we have been given is a plus iota b. Let me take log on both sides to the base e. So we are having now this whole part will come down. Is it clear? We know that in the previous sum we have done that log I base e is nothing but iota pi by 2. So I'm simply replacing it. And this part can be replaced by a plus iota b, because according to the given question we can replace it. Is it clear? So we can write this thing as is it clear? Therefore, a plus iota b is e to the power which can be written as okay. Now, e to the power I pi a by 2 can be written as from the Euler's form cos pi a by 2 plus iota sine pi a by 2. Is it clear? Now, if I compare the real and imaginary part, we are going to have a as e to the power minus pi b by 2 cos pi a by 2, and b is e to the power minus pi b by 2 sine pi a by 2. Is it clear? Now, if I divide, we are going to have b by a as tan pi a by 2, which proves the first part of this problem. And if we add the corresponding sides after squaring of these two equations, we are going to have a square plus b square equals to e to the power minus pi b cos square pi a by 2 plus sine square pi a by 2. Is it clear? This is 1. So which is minus pi b by 2. Is it okay? So which proves the second part of this problem. Is it clear? Is logarithm of a complex number is clear to us? Okay, see you in my next video. Take care.